You guys are not built that way.
So
well, actually, they are built that way, but society has changed them to be against being modeled that way.
model.
Yeah, I
Mold.
mean, you do as a
So
parent,
just
you do mold
because
your child.
so just because I can produce a child does not mean that I have to produce one. And that also does not give you the right to control me because I am a woman. Like, and to minimize me to just being a wife and a mom. There's so much more to life than just being a
Okay,
woman.
my turn.
What is more important than being a mother?
Life.
No.
Okay, but I mean, what is more important than being a mother to your children?
Why do we never ask that question? What is more important than being a father? Why do we never switch it?
Nothing is more important than being.
Because we're not talking to a man, we're talking to a woman.
We're talking to boys.
But here's the thing: if we did flip it and say that to men, and men responded like most of you women respond, you guys would say they're very immature, and they
No.
need to grow up. That's what you would say if men said,
How many?
"Hey, well, here, let me
No.
finish." If men said,
How many of you are actually fathers?
"Hold on one second," if men
I'm
said,
a father.
How many of you are women?
Hold on one second. If men said it's much more, there's more to life than just being a father. There's so much more that we are as men than just being fathers. We're not here to just give you guys children. If we talk like that, you would say we're mature.
You give us.
There
children.
is. There's so many.
Like we
regretful
don't
mothers
do
on TikTok
99% of the work.
Wait, sorry. There's so many regretful mothers on TikTok who share their experience of regretting being a parent, and that's the information we have.
The
Predators.
Is that the
reason they
information that
have
you get,
regret is
or is
because
that filtered?
they laid down with a man they didn't want to lay down with the rest of their life.
Do you have a child?
We won't do the shaming tactics. Let's stop the shaming tactics.
No, I'm just asking.
No, well,
Yeah,
let's
I have 4.
Yeah, his life doesn't matter. So can you guys respond to my prompt, please?
I'd like to. So, women are biologically engineered in their 20s for childbirth. In fact, they bounce.
I have 4 kids.
Hey, hang on. They bounce back. They bounce back very quickly. They don't bounce back as quick in their 30s, and definitely not in their early 40s. They have significant struggles. In fact,
Wait a second. Who says?
Wait, guys, let's let him finish.
yeah. So
Wait, this is the guy from whatever podcast.
So anyway, yeah, they definitely are biologically engineered to have children in their 20s, especially their early 20s. They seem to do best there.
Okay. Go ahead, Mimi.
Wait, is this Andrew from whatever?
I don't have no
Yeah.
idea.
This is
That's his voice.
this is Rico, baby.
So
Andrew, we love you.
Whatever. You're a disgusting person.
What did I do except engage in the prompt? Did I do something to you personally? Why are you upset immediately? Can I just engage in the prompt in a good faith discussion or not?
Okay. So you're saying, Rico, that 20s or very fertile, and then it deteriorates as you get older. Is that?
Well, no. There's two prongs to the argument. Attraction is designed around youth, and the reason attraction is designed around youth is because it's maximized fertility. It's maximized fertility because women's bodies are the most resilient to childbirth in their early 20s, and up to their late 20s, about 28, and then it begins to rapidly deteriorate, and so does the attraction level between men and women.
So 20s, you're very fertile, and then it deteriorates.
Correct.
Stop muting me. The host
Actually,
is
at 18, you're very fertile.
That's true too. I agree.
Hang on a second. So, do you know
the host
when females acquire eggs? Do you know the age of when?
Well, it can be very young.
Do you know when females acquire eggs in their body?
You mean, are you talking about puberty or something different?
I'm saying, when do females acquire eggs?
I don't know when. When do they acquire them?
Anyone want to answer that one?
I want to say around 14 to 16.
Yeah, so around puberty. Yes,
Menstrual
okay, that makes sense to
cycle.
me.
So women are born with their eggs. What do you mean?
Yes, females are born.
Yeah, but so what?
I am
They're not.
so glad that
What? I don't.
Andrew
Hang on, help me
can
out
tell
here.
me
One
Hang on a
second.
how I
What does this have to do with my point, though?
But hang on, I'm getting to your point.
Okay.
So females are actually born with eggs, and they have ample amount of eggs.
well, thank God Andrew's here.
They don't start dropping eggs until they start menstruating. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so you said we're resilient. Our bodies will bounce back very quickly in our early 20s.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, not just in
Yeah,
your early
only-
20s, but up till
only-
about
wait,
28.
Only if we are in good condition. before
Well, but
having
you're more
a
likely
baby.
to be in good condition when you're younger too. That's the
Yeah,
whole
I
point.
mean, yeah, but that's only if you take care
Read
of
a
your
book.
body. That's only if you are taking care of your body. So if you were
No.
fat,
Even if you're not taking care of your body, let's say that you
were
hang
fat
on.
before having
Let's
a
say you
child,
had two
would be
people.
fat after. And also, infertility only increases if she has medical conditions.
That's not true. Infertility generally begins to increase rapidly post 28 years old. Begins to rapidly
is-
deteriorate.
Still not true.
It is true.
It's not true.
That's
No,
It
it's
is.
not.
Yes, it is true.
It is
That
is true.
I don't know why you're trying to lie to me. That's medical
I'm not
medical
trying to
science.
lie.
That's medical science. It's well established. Why do you think that women in their 20s who are the most fertile, do you think that biologically they would be designed to have children later than that when they're at their most fertile in that area? Why?
If she does not prioritize health, then she will have a harder time having children later on.
That's
in
going to be
life.
true of any age though. That's why that argument makes no sense.
Okay. Do
Okay.
you know also, it also goes with the sperm?
That's true. Men's sperm degrades over time as well. Nobody's disputing
And-
that that's true. So men also should be having kids in their 20s. See how that works?
No.
Well, not only that, but that's why age gap is necessary.
And
No, Rico, I
sometimes,
just-
Well, I mean, age
the
gap's not
sperm-
necessary, but
Have you not seen the sperm sometimes has different problems and there can't get in the egg?
yes, that happens as well. But again, those fertility issues for men are greatly decreased in their 20s, just like with women. Women's fertilities increase in their 20s, and so is men's. Your body is perfectly wired. Your body is the most perfectly wired for reproduction in your 20s, period. Men and women.
But Rico, you wouldn't factor in the social element. I mean, we know it's just not a biological. We're not animals, right?
Well, what we should
But the
do, well, hang on. Around every other type of biological element that human beings engage in, we tend to tailor socially in society around those biological elements. For instance, deferring your reproductive years for college is foolish. You should go to college after your reproductive years and your reproductive years.
Oh,
That's why, and hang on. Let me just finish. Let me make the point. Here's why. Right now, we have a birth rate collapse in the United States and in the entirety of the West. Birth rate collapse. Never seen anything like this, especially globally.
Wow.
We're not even at reproduction rates. And the reason for that is because women defer their 20s for college. And by the time they get a career established, they're pretty near 30, which is why you see the marriage rate near 30. And you see the first child being born around 28, 29 years old. And they usually only have one. It creates a major problem. We should actually, if we're gonna take the social elements, we would wire the social elements around human biology like we've always done. We do it with food and oxygen and water. Most
you're
cities, for
saying-
instance, are built on water for this reason. So I
but
don't
the
even
problem-
understand.
Saying,
But the problem is that today's society of women, they're not mentally equipped to handle, like I mentioned earlier, they're not mentally equipped to handle children. So the women of old could handle 5 to 10, 15 children in a 2-3 bedroom house max, very small dwelling. These women today cannot handle
They're
that.
equipped. Here's the thing. They're
Hold
equipped to
on one
handle them
second.
fine.
We
You
let
infantilize
we
them.
let you finish. Hold
Okay,
on
that's
one
fair.
second.
Sorry. Go ahead.
We let you finish.
Yeah, that's fair. Go ahead.
So a lot of women, even to have one child, want 2,000 square feet, 1,500 plus square feet. That's not how the women of old operated, and they did a much better job at handling their stresses, handling all types of pressures in society, and their pressures were much greater. These women today have way less pressure, way less stress. I would argue, but they just can't handle it. They can't deal with life. They can't deal with their jobs. They can't deal with anything that's going on in the world. They're constantly stressed, but they're all over social media, and they cry about this stuff all the time, every day. So they're just not
Whoa.
equipped to handle
Yeah,
children.
but what you're doing, what I think you're doing there is you're infantilizing women and giving them a way out of responsibility. The truth is that what's actually going on is that if they can defer, they've been sold this kind of great lie that they can defer childbirth to any age, not realizing that there's tons and tons of tales and science which backs this of women who get into their 30s and begin having significant trouble with reproduction when they wouldn't have in their 20s. And they've been sold a bill of goods. The thing is that there's no sense in infantilizing women. Instead, it's worthwhile to point out that we live in a very anti-natalist society now, and women are sold a huge lie. Sold
There's
a
no
huge
science.
lie.
Well, hang on a
There's no
second.
science. Wait, let me say this real quick. There's no science that's going to back women who are emotionally and mentally ill-equipped with having children, even though biologically they can. There's
No, no, no.
science
There
that you
is.
can
There is
find.
actually. If
Wait,
you
wait, wait,
apply,
Wait a
okay,
wait a
minute.
minute.
okay, go
Wait
My
ahead.
a
turn.
minute. Wait a
My
minute.
turn.
Hold on, ma'am. I will.
Nope, my turn.
Ma'am, hold on.
No,
He
my
spoke over me while I
turn.
was
That's
speaking.
true. I did. Just let him finish real
He
quick.
spoke over me while I
He
was
is
speaking.
speaking.
So, if you can find science that says yes, women should still have children, no matter what, no matter how they are emotionally or how they are mentally, whatever they're dealing with in life, their stress and pressure, they should still have children. Please send that to me.
Yeah,
Because you're not gonna
that's
find it.
that's a huge straw man and a red herring. So to point this
It's
out
not
real
a straw
quick,
man.
the social sciences around additional pressures on people, allowing them to grow into better people, is well established. For instance, men who have families and children tend to make a lot more money than men who don't. That's because the application of social pressure and responsibility makes them grow into that position. That's well established science for both sexes. The fact that you won't refuse to apply the social pressures on women and infantilize them is a major issue. But yes, there is science that backs this, well established science.
If that was true, then women would do much better in careers that are highly
They're not
dominated.
wired for long-term
Hold on
careers.
1 second. Hold on 1 second. They would do much better in highly pressured careers that are dominated by men, and they don't. They don't perform well under those highly stressed, highly pressured careers. They
Men
just
and
don't.
men and women, they
Sir,
when you have a social pressures, they apply differently to both.
what careers can you name that
They're
women
not
have
wired
taken
for
over?
careers. They are wired for
Okay,
child
thank you.
rearing. Do you
No,
understand
no,
the
no, 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 no.
distinction?
You just mentioned, so you mentioned the pressure that women
What
have to
types of
deal with.
social pressure, though? You would be
Okay, so you're
applying
not,
social pressure on women
sir,
for their specific sex-related activities.
your job
Sir,
is a
sir,
form
sir,
of
you're
social.
straw manning the shit out of my
Your
position.
job
Don't
is a
do it.
form of social pressure. It is.
Yeah, but do you
Rico,
understand
can I ask
that
you a
different
question,
sexes
Rico?
respond to different social pressures differently because they're
Okay.
wired differently?
Can we get pregnant? You let us know.
Can what?
I mean, you all have it figured out, so when can women get pregnant?
It's not a
Does
matter. It's not a matter of when they
Yeah,
can. We're talking about
let me
optimals
say
in
this.
society.
Let me say this. He doesn't have it figured out because even Caucasian women
Hang
are no
on a
longer.
second.
Hold on 1 second. Even Caucasian women are no longer listening to their men. They're not listening to men like this. They're
Now,
doing it their own way, just
when
like
can
all
I
the
get
rest of the
pregnant?
women. All the rest of the women are doing it their own way. So
Oh,
nobody's
I mean,
listening to
y'all
him
have
either.
it figured out. When
No,
can I
no,
get
no, no,
pregnant?
no. But you guys are not going to listen to him or me or any other man.
No,
Exactly.
I
Preferably
really.
before the age of 30.
Okay.
If you wanted optimal results, generally for most women, pregnancy in the 20s would be optimal. That's not to say you can't get pregnant past that or shouldn't. Nobody would ever make that claim. Only that if you were looking at what was optimal for female reproductive health and for society at whole, you would
What if
look
I
at
got
women in their
pregnant in
20s.
my
Yeah,
late
but
30s?
What part of nobody's discouraging you from getting pregnant after 20 are you not getting? What part of this are you not understanding?
Point is, they're not doing well without the children.
Well,
Do you realize
you're
that?
kind of
Do you
making his
realize?
point, right? Because you didn't listen to
Hold
a
on 1
word
second.
we
Do you
just
realize
said.
hold on 1 second. Do you realize there are more medications than ever before that have to deal with depression,
Yep.
anxiety, all
Yep.
types of mental stresses? They're on these medications more than ever.
Yes. But which hang on, but which demographic of women are
Hold on
not?
one second. With birthing way less children, they're on more of these medications. They're drinking more than ever. They're having more problems than ever before in their mind. But you're saying, oh, if they have the children, they'll just adjust.
Well, the problem with your argument is that we can break women down via demographics. And we see in the demographics where they're having a lot of children younger in heavily religious relationships, their satisfaction happiness ratings are through the roof in comparison to career women. So how do you explain that, sir?
Oh,
Well,
I got
Rico,
you on that one.
Yeah, you got nothing. You got nothing because you didn't think it through.
Let me jump in,
No, they're
bro.
not. The marriage rate is
I don't
way
know
down.
how true that is.
The
because
marriage
It is
rate
true.
rate for
way
Christian-
down.
No, hold on.
Not true.
The divorce rates for Christians and non-Christians are basically the same.
Nope,
So
that's only based on self-ID. If you look at rigorism, meaning people who go to church more often and participate in sacraments, you'll find that their divorce rates are significantly lower.
Yeah, but the marriage rate is way down, so you can't even.
Yeah,
throw that
but here's what the problem is. Like,
The
we
marriage
can
rate is
take
nowhere
data.
near what it was.
We can take data, and what we can do with the data is we can break it down by each demographic and group so that we can extrapolate better data for what's working and what isn't. What we find is that when there's religious rigorism and people having children in their 20s and getting married younger with religious rigorism, their happiness levels are overwhelming in comparison to the rest of the population.
Okay, but
They
that has nothing to
hang
do
on,
with-
hang on.
All
They
right,
say that they report better satisfaction levels, less mental illness, less antipsychotic drugs, less depressive drugs. Across the board, they're healthier.
Rico,
That has
Adam,
nothing to do with what you mentioned earlier.
Yes, it does. It does.
Rico,
women-
besides
it has
small
nothing to do with biology.
religious cults, how is that actually giving practical advice for modern day men? What you're saying sounds great, right? Like if this was like 1960, like this, hey, just go get a 20-year-old pregnant and live happily ever after. Man, these women are influenced by Instagram, TikTok. I think they did a study where I think like 1 in 10 women are on OnlyFans now under the age of 25. So I mean, So this
Well,
advice
that's a very defeatist attitude. When you look at the Zoomers are moving more right for a reason, and they're not only moving more right, but traditionalism is finally trying to make some sort of comeback, even online. Now, there's a lot of grifting with it. That's true. There's a lot of grifting with everything, though.
Zoomer. Sorry. What's a Zoomer?
Generation Z.
Oh, not it.
What's your point with Generation Z?
Yeah, so my point is that they're one of the first generations which is significantly moving right, especially the males. If that's the case, they're going to have societal influence because men tend to be in the political positions of power. If this is the case, we have a good chance of beginning the social shift in society towards some of these things. It wouldn't take that much.
That the women are taking that point of view.
It doesn't matter. They're not in. Generally, women are not in positions of political power.
Oh, wait.
Okay, hold on one second. Hold on one second.
I thought that
hold on one
Gen
second.
Zers,
When it comes
regardless
to
of gender, we're actually
when it-
moving
when
more
it comes
towards
to
the right.
when it comes to voting, what position of power do women have in this country?
They can vote.
No, I said how much power do they have though?
They have about the same amount. They have about the
they
same
don't.
amount as men
No, they
enfranchised.
don't. There's way more women that are voting than men. No, they don't.
No, there's not. You're wrong.
Really? Are you serious?
Yeah, just pull up the stats right now.
There's a reason why.
Pull up the
that
stats. Don't just tell me.
there's a
Pull
reason
up the
why
stats.
politicians- No. We don't have to pull up the stats. There's a reason why.
Yes, we do have to pull up the
politicians go
stats, so I'll do
okay,
it.
Well, then why don't you pull them up?
I will.
There's a reason why politicians go after women for votes. They don't go after the male vote.
That depends on the
They go after the
demographic.
woman.
Hang on, that depends on the
No, it
demographic and
doesn't
if they're
depend on the
Republicans or
demographic.
Democrats.
In every race, they go after the woman's vote. They do.
Do you know why they go after the women's vote? It's not because there's more women than men. It's because that's securing. It's because when they secure
Bro,
a certain
so that you know,
women
it's
like-
hang on, just so you know, it's 66 to 64. They don't have any more political power.
Bro,
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Can we please
if you
hear Alex?
feed
Go
somebody, if you feed women, like for example, like you say you're a politician and you're telling people you're going to do this, this, and that, you know, and there's like a massive group of and say it's about women, right? And women really want this like to happen, so they're really going to push for that person to get into that position. That's increasing the number of votes within that state / county, whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? It's not a matter of like there's more women than men. It's a matter of these just
Right, they go after
accumulating-
specific
they're
female
accumulating as many
demographics.
votes as they can. That's what that is.
It's not just that. They're going after specific female demographics. But by your argument, what we should be doing is trying to capture the male vote that isn't voting then, shouldn't we?
You were not listening.
That assumes that
Alex,
that would
I
happen.
was just trying to.
That assumes that we would actually go after the male vote. Right now.
Yes,
as
that
it
would be the
stands-
assumption. If you have voters which are being untapped, wouldn't you go after them?
Right. Yeah.
You made that point.
Yeah, so can you refute that point?
I'm about to if you.
I don't think you're
slow
going
down,
to,
Chief.
but go ahead.
Well, keep thinking that.
Okay.
You know. All right. So the reality of the situation is just because you say that that's what we need to do does not mean that that's what's going to happen. Right now,
This is not refuting
like
my point at
said-
all.
Like he said, women vote more than men.
No, okay,
So
listen,
just
that's
because-
not
hold on,
it's not even true.
Hold on,
didn't say that.
It's
Hold on. Regardless of whether or not it's true, even if it's even, let's say it's even kill.
That it's not even either.
50.
No, I
What-
just looked. Hey, let me fact check real fast. Pew Research. I just looked it up, guys. I'm non-biased. 63% of eligible women voted versus 59% of eligible.
Right, it's
So-
negligible. But now, hang on. Do a demographic break. Hang on. We live in it. Hang on. We live it. Stop. We live in an electoral. We live in an electoral nation.
He just proved to you.
No, he didn't prove it. I'll show you. I can demonstrate it.
On Rutgers, and they say the same thing.
Oh my God!
that women-
Listen, we
women
live.
vote more than men.
Okay,
Now
listen.
you want
Listen to me.
Hey,
Listen.
You can't make your
You're not
own
gonna
facts
move
Oh my
up.
God! This
goalposts.
fucking
You were
guy.
wrong.
You can't.
I will refute this in 5
You're
seconds.
not gonna move the goalpost.
Okay,
You were
Can I
wrong.
say
if you look at New York and you look at California, they're always going to vote liberal. It doesn't matter how many women vote there. It doesn't
You
matter.
lied. You lied.
No, I didn't lie. You don't know
not
what you're
gonna move the
talking about.
goalpost.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You're not
You
gonna
said
move the
right
goalpost.
now.
You said they vote liberal.
They do. We
However,
live.
women vote
Oh my
liberal. What are you
God,
talking
dude!
about?
This guy.
Well, how many women?
When you're
vote
ready to let me answer, I'll
Republican?
dispute it all.
Sir, I haven't even said it.
Go ahead.
How can you dispute?
You see what's happening?
He's disputing conversations that he's having in his head.
Women cannot talk. Prime
Lady,
example.
what are you talking about?
Prime
Please,
example.
1 second.
A good book to read is Speechless. You should all go read it.
Go ahead.
Here's the point that I want to make, because I'm going to drop right now. I just want to make this final point. I was trying to tell this guy that it's not just a matter of demographics when it comes to race, because I see it all the time. In the Caucasian race also, the women are being lost from family, community, religion. The men don't have a control over the women like they used to. They are being lost as well. It's happening in every single racial demographic. In the black community, it's the most prominent. So you can't just make an argument that, oh, well, we have this data and says this. Doesn't matter what the data says. It shows where the shift has been happening. And the shift is happening amongst the women. Doesn't matter if the men become more conservative. If they don't have women on board, there's nothing they can do. The way that the women have power in this country is that they can outvote any and everything that they want to. This is why you're never going to get rid of a lot of things that have to do with women programs, because they're always going to support it and vote for it.
Didn't Trump win the
After
most?
the Trump
Yes, he did.
After the Trump administration, things are going to turn right back around and change. Just watch. It happens.
Yeah.
every
So
time.
just so that
They
you
turn right-
understand.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay,
Hold
go
on
ahead.
1 second.
Go ahead.
Almost done. After the Trump administration is done, in a few more years, things are going to switch again. And you're going to have a Democratic leader that arises that's going to promise all these programs for women, and everything's going to be reversed. Whatever Trump did is going to be reversed. Just watch and see.
While I agree with you in principle that most women are feminists in this nation, I'm going to point out to you again that with voting is done off of demographic pools. Doesn't matter if all the women in California vote left or California is going to go left. So if you have an additional million women there who vote left, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to the electoral scheme. You use voter demographic pools. That's why it's so important that you understand this distinction. We live in an electorate. We utilize an electorate and an electoral college for when it comes to voting in the president, for instance. We also have localized elections when it comes to Congress and when it comes to Senate. So the whole problem that you have here is you're looking at the general voting patterns of women nationally. You say, okay, there's 3% higher that women vote nationally than men. It doesn't actually matter. If that 3% is offset by just New York and California, it's totally irrelevant. They're not actually voting more. In other words, they're not actually voting more. They're not getting people in positions of power more than men are. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're messing the whole argument up, dude.
But Rico, how is he? So I mean, based off your logic, you're saying that California and New York have more women than red states. So that logically doesn't make
No,
any
I'm
sense.
just what I'm saying to you is that if you have states where they're going to go left anyway, if you have a slightly higher percentage of men than women who overall vote more, it's irrelevant if you're looking at those state votes. That's how you can have candidates, for instance, who lose the popular vote but still win the presidency, because we're set up that way in this electorate. It's going to be the same thing for Congress with redistricting and things like this. Women's votes specifically, if that was the case, that you were concerned that they're outvoting men, then what you should be doing is telling the Republican Party to start going after the men's votes more, right? That would be what would make sense to offset that. But the reason that they don't is because they're looking at specific demographic votes. That's why. That's why you'll see them go after the gay vote or this or that, because in battleground states, that's what matters.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, yes, I agree. You got me on that one.
Oh, they ended their live. That sucks. But not before I fucking completely and ruthlessly destroyed them. So there's that.